Hello, this is Jason with LMGI, continuing with SolidEdge fundamentals. We're going to now talk about the draft command. So the draft command adds taper to the part. So when you start that command in the synchronous mode, the first thing it's going to want is a plane. The plane establishes where the angles are based. Also, if you're using the from plane method, it will establish the pivot point, though other options will allow you to change that pivot point even by creating a surface through the model. You can have it split at an arbitrary surface location or a line created by a curve. You can even do a split draft, which is a bidirectional. Maybe we'll do that in a moment. But let's continue on with a very simple taper. Now you definitely want to take a look at your select options here. All normal faces can be a time saver, or I'll hold shift and deselect and just do the chain. So that'll do, I'll do something large. I'm going to do 30 and tab on the keyboard, and if you click your arrow it'll flip to the other solution, and that's pretty much it. You right click to accept. Now after, when you come to edit this, you'll see, let's move the steering wheel out of the way, you should have an edit definition handle, and you can change all the faces or individual faces, and you can even change the direction. So highly editable. You can actually move the plane to a different location. If I go and if I click a single face, you should be able to change this individual face by some amount, though in this case that's probably not a great option. And then I also like the way that you can just simply delete, even though all those faces are in the select set. If you delete it, it will restore it back to 0. So that's really nice. So let's do another draft. Is that on my, it's not on my bar. So we'll come up here to draft, and I'll pick, now I made this plane in the middle just so you could see. We'll do something a little more interesting here. So I set my draft plane, but I'm going to do a split draft, and we'll hit OK. And I'll pick these faces and accept with the right mouse. I go to the next step because I could pick multiple angles. That's why I have to move to the next step, and then I'll type in maybe 0 tab. So that's kind of a creative draft, almost like a chamfer, but just to point out some of the more interesting things you can do with the draft command. So let's undo that. And if I switch to ordered mode, you'll see that the command flows very similarly. So I do draft, it wants a draft plane, and it wants the faces, and it wants the angle, and then you move to the next step because and then you give it the draft. So it's very similar. You can have a lot of the same options are there. Of course, when you edit a ordered feature, the method is either right-click edit definition, or you use the edit definition on this little floating toolbar, whichever is closest to your mouse. So maybe I'll just do one more real quick. So if I do draft based on here, so I can do this face and do a 5, and then this face and do a 3, this face 2, next. So you see I have kind of like in a round command, you can do multiple values within the command. When you're in the ordered mode, you can do the same with draft in the ordered mode. So you don't do it very often, but it's kind of good to know.